If you need the best sleeves to protect your best decks, check out Sentry Sleeves using the link below. A pack of sleeves starts at only $10, and a portion of the proceeds goes to supporting local animal shelters. Use code EBAM5 to save 5% at checkout. Hello everyone, that's Austin and I'm Thomas, and this is Everyone's Bad at Magic, where we untap, upkeep, and punt. And today we're joined by our homie, the end boss of cEDH, Jason from Critical. Jason, would you mind giving the folks at home a little bit of a rundown of who you are and what your accolades may be?
Hey, my name is Jason Doan. As Thomas referenced, I'm part of a collective known as Critical EDH. I'm a high-ranked grinder. I love playing Magic. Started playing in COVID. So actually, a fun thing is that Strixhaven was the set that got me into Magic. So having it come back again is like a new experience for me.
That's awesome. And Jason's being a little bit humble right now, saying he's a high ranked player. I believe he's the number one ranked active player on Top Deck right now. Yeah, look at that smile. Yeah. Um, so before we get too deep into our interview today, we are going to start off with our favorite segment, the Punter's Confessional. And Jason, I understand you brought a punt with you today that you want to talk about.
Yep, I actually had to think about this one for a hot second because this one's like super embarrassing because oh no, it's like a super obvious thing, but right after the day one of the stock up event you guys actually hosted, I went to locals that night, except I slept maybe like 4 to 5 hours, and my my round two I top decked an Adnaz, and I was like, ooh, I have a coin the weekend to Adnaz, and I'm like. Ooh, this definitely converts with an extra 4 mana. So I go Adnaz. It gets flared by the Ragish player, and he finds like no interaction that's relevant to counter my Naz. So I resolve my Naz. We get to a point where I'm at like 3 life. I cast a Stormkiln Artist, and it gets subtlety, and then I cast a Dosan, and then I go Mox Opal, Pact of Negation, an offer you can't refuse, so I can make 2 treasures off of that, cast Final Fortune, cast Imp Seal, and I put an Underworld Breach on top of my library. And I'm like, okay, based on everything here, based on all my life total, I don't need to use my Ancient Tomb. I can recast Dark Ritual, I can recast Demonic Tutor, and I can go win the game. On my main phase, I look at the board state and I'm like, oh, there's a Graph Cage in play, and I only have Console as my tutor right here. And I'm like, well, I definitely don't have enough mana after I consult for Into the Floodmaw or Otawara to remove the Graph Cage. So what I end up doing is I offer a draw by casting Consult for Ragavan, and I have 4 power in play to kill the Ragishai player.
Did they take the draw?
Yeah, we took the
Oh,
draw.
heck yeah.
Dude, I love the fact for this punt is that you saw an Adnaz line that most people wouldn't even see, but the punt was missing the Grafdigger's Cage on the play. You feel like that's just having played what, probably 12 hours worth of Magic that day, and
Oh
just
yeah.
oh, that's so funny. And you still got the draw of it. That's the Jason Doan experience. I love that.
So how
Uh,
about you, Thomas?
mine's mine's a little less complicated, Jason. Um, I was playing a pretty friendly game, and the situation doesn't super matter other than the fact that I was the control player in the situation, and there were two turbo decks that had basically been pushing and pushing and pushing, and I was towards the end of my interaction, and I was towards the end of my mana. The player in front of me cracked a ranger captain, and my mana source was a cabbage merchant at that point. I had three, I had four food tokens up, and I had a Born Upon the Wind in hand, and I didn't have any interaction left. I did not choose to cast my Born at that moment because I didn't see any like I didn't have any interaction left, and I was just I felt I was out of it. But I did have a live draw engine open, and I could have drawn into more interaction. So I let the Ranger Captain resolve. The next card I drew was a Flusterstorm. Um,
Oh, that's tough.
I made the mana to make it. Well, it didn't end up mattering. They won through creature combos, but I did not play to my outs.
Hmm.
And that is a punt. It didn't matter in the game, but is something that I need to be better at is playing to my outs that could be coming and thinking about what my live draws could be that would break me out of that situation. So, uh, it's a micro improvement that I need to, if I employed a coach such as yourself, you might be telling me to play to my outs in that situation.
One step at a time, right?
Yes, sir. Well, that was a great punt, Jason. Thank you for sharing that with us. I think we're just going to jump straight into it because, like you said, you've been playing Magic since 2000 or 2020, not 2000. You're not that old. Um, but you got in around Strixhaven. What made you fall in love with the game?
So it was like uh, right before we went online for school. And my friends were like, "Well, we can like hang out together during COVID." Definitely don't do that, by the way. So we went to my friend's house and they introduced me to Magic, and we're playing some kitchen table Magic basically, and they're teaching me how to play the game. And the first deck I ever played was this Is It Spellslinger deck. And the finisher for this was with the split second card or the split arcane cards. When you cast like three of them in a row, you can go and tutor a card called the Unspeakable. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this at
I'm
all, but you
actually not ironic or
definitely
interestingly enough.
Skyfall this. It it's related to that, but that the finish it was like a flying drake or something, and that
Okay, I
was the
got it up.
finisher.
It's 6 and 3 blue with flying trample. It's a 6/7. Whenever the unspeakable deals combat damage to a player, you may return target arcane card from your graveyard to your hand.
Yep,
Hmm.
yep.
Okay.
So basically, you cast a bunch of cantrips, and then it lets you tutor out this creature, and the deck would play Firemind's Foresight, and also the alternative game ender for this deck would be Empty the Warrens, which is a storm spell that makes 2/1/1 goblins. Um, and I fell in love because I was like, wow, this is so cool. I get to make dragons, I get to make a billion tokens, and I get to draw cards.
So just a degenerate from the very beginning. That's awesome. Wow, I didn't. So when I hear lockdown stories, it's usually people talking about, yeah, we all went to working remote. I never really consider people who were still in school in that era. Was that high school for you?
Yeah, it was sophomore year of high school for me is when it was like the tail end of the semester, so it was like spring, and we all went online, and it was a interesting experience, right? Because they're like, oh, we'll come back in 2 weeks. Certainly certainly longer than that.
Yeah. Were you playing on spell table at all, or was it all just the kitchen table?
Just all kitchen table. I didn't know any cards besides Island, Mountain, and all the cantrips and the dragons.
Oh man, bring
That's
back
the
the
best way to
dual
start, though.
decks. Yeah. Oh, they did bring back the dual decks, didn't they? They have those for this release.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I should check those out.
They brought him back because they brought back the different schools again.
Oh,
That's
sure, sure. Yeah, I like I like the precons and everything, and also like the dual decks are interesting. One of my first decks I ever thought about buying was the Jace that was like a 5 drop. It was the Arcane Strategist dual deck. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
I am not familiar with that
But
one.
it's Simic Proliferation, and you basically play a bunch of like Kiora Dam Breakers and a bunch of stuff like that, and then you put 1/1 counters on all your stuff, you proliferate all your stuff and your Planeswalker.
That sounds pretty sick.
Hmm.
Honestly, I'm intrigued.
So You started with kitchen table, which sounds like it was mainly 60 card for you. Where did you transition from there?
Wednesday nights, my friends who also had the 60 card decks were like, "Oh, you should like come to Commander night because we also play Commander." So at that time, I was like, "Oh, well, Strixhaven is a thing, right?" So I'll just go buy a precon, and the coolest one to me was the Quandrix one with all the tokens and stuff. And I looked through the deck, I was like, oh, this is all really cool. You kind of just make mana, draw cards, and then like make a billion tokens of stuff. So my favorite card in that precon was Rite of Replication. Because if you
Mhm.
for 4 or 5 mana, you can clone target creature, but if you kick it, you get 5 copies of it. And then eventually I got to slowly like upgrading it. You guys hear this story all the time, right? So like my first real purchase for the deck was a Nyx Bloom Ancient. And let me tell you, if you have 5 of those, it's usually really easy to win.
Oh my God, your poor friends.
That's not an
You.
arms race, Jason. That's just like you skipped the Cold War. That's funny. So, do you still play with the original friends who got you into Magic at all, or have you had
I still hang out with them and occasionally we'll play some kind of Magic, but they don't play CDH, so unfortunate that's unfortunate.
that's you know what? It seems to be a somewhat common symptom for a lot of us that like we had that arms race where we had the constant growth and like we're pushing the limits and then we just pushed past where our friends were willing to go and it's so hard to go back to play with them because I can't play a pre-con that has 7 board wipes and
Oh
play a
yeah.
4 hour game. I mean, I'll play a 3 hour game that's still turn four, but that's a different experience.
For sure, for sure.
After we got our precons and we started putting a Nyx Bloom Ancient that we're copying 5 times, it sounds like that's where we started to build into cEDH.
Hmm.
And my first memories of playing with you were, I think you were already on farm at that point.
Hmm.
Was that the first cEDH deck for you, or was there another step that we're kind of missing in this process?
So to backtrack to the Nyx Bloom Ancient part, I started bridging out into blue and red, right? Because the 60 card decks were blue and red, and I was like, I kind of like the Spellslinger aspect of the game, right? I don't have to really care about how much combat damage I need to do to kill someone. I can kind of just like cast lightning bolts and a bunch of stuff, and then they kind of just die. So my one of the decks I started playing was Niv Mizzet Parun, the 6 drop in the
Heck
command
yeah.
Yeah.
zone. And this was
Bring back
without,
Jeweled Lotus just so we can get more Niv Mizzet.
yes, yes. This was without, this was when pre-budget, right? So like, no, I didn't have any access to like Jewel Lotus or anything like that. So I just played a bunch of like cards like Strike It Rich, like Arcane Signet, all of the signets to try to get into my 6 drop. And then I would play like Stormkiln Artist, Bergie, stuff like that. Goblin Electromancer even just because my engine in the command zone draws me cards, so I need the alternative, which is mana, and my deck was pumped full of mana. And eventually, what ended up happening is that for one of my first experiences into cEDH was playing Niv at like a higher level, except I didn't have any of the staples, which meant that like I would just die before my turn 4.
Yeah. I remember showing up to my first level 7 with a tuned Minskin Boo without any of the staples in it and getting blown up by a Timna Halana. So
Wow.
yeah, I feel you. It was a onboarding into cEDH when you don't know or you don't have the cards can be a little bit rough. So
Hmm. So my next adventure from that was playing Malcolm and Kedis in the command zone because I was like, oh, they generate a lot of mana, and then I can just like go find Niv with Magda, or I can just hardcast a Niv. At that time, I also played the foresight or the mindsight one, which was the four colorless and is it one that whenever you draw a card, you still ping something,
Okay.
but it doesn't have the whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery text.
Nimbus of the
Um,
Firemind.
mhm.
Okay. Very
And
cool.
then from there, my first cEDH deck was actually Jessica is Shy, and
Mm.
at my first level 7 event I ever went to, my first ever event, I went 2-1 because the event was a 3-round Swiss, no top cut. And this was back when they had a weird point system where you could kill people for points. Um, which
Yeah.
led to really weird king making situations. And I accidentally found this out because like people were just talking about it after round one. And I was like, well, I have a very big stick in the command zone that I can just delete players with. Um, and I went 2-0 in my first rounds, and then I lost my last round to um someone we all know now as Sylvan. And they were playing Azusa Landfall, and they were using Random Up Excavator with like a lighthouse card to continually go through their deck for value.
Yeah. That was before proxies were allowed at level 7 too. There were some weird rule sets back in the day.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Uh,
That was before I was out here.
oh yeah, no, that was a while back then. But so you immediately were seeing some success when you started playing in tournaments. How long did you stick with Ishai
Ish.
Jeskai? Just
So Jessica is shy. I played for
no, I'm gonna say it
many,
backwards. Don't correct me.
many, many many months, and I would always like finish the end of the night as like top four, and I would be like, wow, why can't I get over this hump, right? And looking back now, it's obviously a gameplay mistake, but that would just tilt me out of the world because I'm just like I'm continually going like, my first two rounds I'll do extremely well, and then the last round I can't really close out the event. um, and then I swapped over to playing Tim the Thrasios right when uh, Neon Dynasty came out, Kamigawa. And in that set, they printed into the Commander set a card called Swift Reconfiguration.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, well, this makes Devoted Druid absolutely crazy, right? And my thinking behind it was you can play Oracle Consult in this deck, and you can also play Swift Recon Devoted Druid. Both
Mhm.
are two card combos that are very efficient at winning you the game. Along with that, I was like, oh, there's I could play Infinity green dorks in this deck because all I need is mana to put into Thrasios. And I was like, oh, okay, so I have the grind, I have the win, and my first ever event I took TNT to, I won the event. And I was like, wow, this is a crazy deck. I was playing stuff like what's the one draw? Allosaurus Shepherd
Yeah.
is
Mhm.
the card. And I was like, oh, there's like no removal ever around at this point because Bowmaster didn't exist. So you could play Infinite Dorks, you could play Allosaurus Shepherd, and then you can cast a Finale, and then it's uncounterable.
Yeah. I feel like Allosaurus Shepherd might be a little underplayed right now, but it's also a card that I'm not necessarily interested in testing in any lists that I'm playing, so I don't, maybe I shouldn't bring it up because I'm not willing to solve that problem.
I think it's a uniquely underexplored card right now. The I know you guys had Josh Hyam on the channel, and I know for certain Allosaurus Shepherd is a combo piece with Devoted Druid in that deck. But
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty underrated staple right now because a lot of the meta is like very heavy on like non-creature counterspells, and
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
having the ability to push through even more is very relevant.
Yeah, with so you play a bit more, well, you play a lot more than I do. But we're gonna take this a little off the tracks and talk, if you don't mind,
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
like
no
to talk
worries.
about the current meta, especially in Denver. It's felt very slop heavy to me lately. Um, and I genuinely enjoy those games. I've been building towards those games since the turbo meta, but I personally have been trying to think of ways to attack the current slot meta from a different angle. I'm just curious, where would you personally go to attack the meta as it stands?
So right now, if like obviously I can play into the meta. I play a lot of Cannon right now. And it's been a amazing experience. Shout out to Evan Freedom Waffle Pierce and Sereno for getting me on the deck again. Um, but I think if I were to attack the meta in a different angle rather than just play into it, I would be playing strictly Rogsai. Just because the deck efficiently puts up win attempts on turn one, turn two, and turn three, and many times so. So even if it gets stopped on turn two, you'll put up another win attempt on turn three. And it's not like Rogside can't grind either because you still have access to Rog in the zone, you still have access to Rhystic Study, and you have access to all the best tutors in the game. Um, Basically in the slot meta, you either play into the slot meta or you play a highly efficient deck at winning the game.
Okay. Yeah, I think that that's probably the safest and smartest way to do it. And you're going to tell me that I am just completely on cope with this, and I'm ready to hear it. I've been trying to start brewing a deck that doesn't really use the stack, or it avoids the counter spells that like Rogishai plays. I've been kind of brewing Rog Kadama. Um,
Hmm.
so it's a creature list that heavily leans on Kadama's ability to bypass the stack and split second cards. So when I do have to cast cards, there aren't too many cards that interact
Yep.
with those.
They just appear.
Yeah, so my thought is if you're just putting creatures in or split second or bypassing, you might be able to break parity on some of those heavy Ristic boards. Um, I don't know. Might be
I
cope.
think I think I think that's a really unique idea, and something that actually that reminds me of is that I played against Dargo Kodama at LobbyCon for Albuquerque this last month, and that's a semi-blue deck, and I didn't know about it. So when on turn three it had its creature push, I was like, oh well, my Flusterstorm and my Force Negation do absolutely nothing against this deck.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can help me out with that at some point and see if it's actually does something. So sorry to pull us so far off topic. You are an interesting deck builder, so I always like to pick your brain. Speaking of that, last week MTG Basics threw a charity tournament with every commander has partner, and you came to or went to Raoul, I should say, and asked if you could play backgrounds, something that nobody else really asked. You want to talk about that deck, Jason?
Fun fact. So last year, background plus choose a background plus partner was legal. So you could have done this last year. But I thought about this, right? And I had a shower thought and I was like, ooh, like Norrin's a pretty cool commander I've seen before in casual. And I've seen it in cEDH before to very medium success. So I was thinking in the shower and I was like, what do I get if I can partner Norn with like another legendary, right? So I could play like Blink, I could play like Payoffs for that. And then I landed on Candlesteep Sage and I was like, oh, that's a background. Do I get to choose a partner? Do I get an extra color? And I asked Raul and he sent me a screenshot of someone asking this last year and he said yes. So I ended up thinking about it, I was like, oh, this is like kind of broken. You get a card. You basically get a Rhystic Study in the command zone that draws 8 cards a turn cycle.
Reliably from turn one.
Yep.
Him and another local named Jay were both playing this. I didn't play you in this tournament, but I played against Jay. He seat one, turn one, played Norin, the Candlekeep Sage, off of an LED land pass. By the time it got back to him, he had to discard
Yep.
to
Yep.
hand size. Um,
Excuse me?
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, that checks. That's sick, actually.
unbelievably broken. I think you both made top four, and I
Yep.
think you
I
won.
I yeah, I kept an incredibly crazy hand in top four. But I played the Jeskai variant for this event, so I got my extra partner was Rasad Yin Bashir, which definitely doesn't matter until it does with the Displacer kitten. Um, because I just blink it over and over with the Candlekeep Sage in play. And I'm like, ooh, cast Lotus Petal, draw two cards, cast Chromox, draw two cards. And I also brewed Jay's deck too, with Jaheira in the zone. And then we also brewed a black version that never saw the light of day, but I think that would have been excellent as well.
Outside of these weird tournaments, I know that you are a prolific brewer, and it seems like you have a brewing team that you like to work with. Have there been any decks that you've had a hand in that you're particularly proud of?
So I think for farm, I think I'm particularly proud of like where we've gotten in terms of like, oh, I feel very stable with this deck. Just because I've been piloting farm for so long too. Another notable deck is like Kinnan, right? Evan Pierce and Sorrento got me to play Kinnan again, and we all reiterated on the deck list. So like some of us are playing like Unagi, some of us are playing like different payoffs for that. Another deck that I would like to think I have a hand in making at least a little better because like most of the credit is honestly to Jace is Rogishai. Think that deck was incredibly cracked. The first time I ever saw it was actually last year when we were lobby conning at Steel City. One of his friends named Ryan actually brought the deck, and we were playing it at LobbyCon, and I was like, "Whoa, I'm playing Kinnan, and this deck plays literally like double my interaction suite, which was crazy." So, just getting to see the evolution of the deck till now has been an incredible thing to kind of witness that behind the scenes.
Nice. So you've brought up a couple times now that you've been playing Kinnan, and obviously to pretty good success. I've mainly known you as a blue farm specialist for most of the time that we've been playing. How's the deck been treating you? Like, do you feel like Kinnan's just where it's at right now?
Right now with like all the slot meta, it's like it's been an incredible deck. It makes mana, it draws cards like no one's business. And I think once I get into like a mid game, I can pretty confidently pilot it out to the end most of the time. Right now, I'm just not playing farm right now just because I want a little break from it and playing a two mana battery in the command zone isn't the worst thing to take a break on.
Just there was a funny moment at the stock up where Kane and I, the judge of the stock up, were watching one of your games, and we saw you just stand up and swap seats with a player, and we just both looked over at you like, "What the heck is happening?" And you just looked at us like, "Emmer, cool."
Yes, that was round one of the stock up tournament, and that was that was actually the grindiest pod I played that day. And surprisingly, it was with Atali, Chatterfing, and Rogish in the pod, which two of those decks are not known for like dragging out the game and playing slot.
Yeah, no, that should not have. Yeah, no, that's a surprising composition to hear is a sloppy game.
Mhm.
Okay, kind of want to shift gears here and take us a little bit more into you and your background. So, you're currently still a student. I know that you're working, you're grinding tournaments, you're coaching, you're making content with Crit. You're graduating somewhat soon. What are you studying, and how do you think graduating is going to affect your ability to play Magic as much as you've been doing?
I think so. I'm a information systems major. I'm a year away from graduating. And I think once I graduate, obviously I'll have to dedicate more time to like doing more real life stuff for sure. So I'll definitely have to take a seat back, but that definitely will be the motivation for me to like figure it out fast.
Okay. Ever since I've really known you, it seems like your drive to win has been, I hate to say the word an obsession, but like maybe a main character trait. Have you always known that you want to be kind of like a pro Magic player, or is that something you kind of grew into?
So that's more of like growing up in my household. My parents have pushed me to always be the best or better. Because it's like if we're gonna do something, right, we might as well be good at it. If not, then what are we doing, right? So growing up, I actually did Taekwondo, and I did that for many, many years now, and I'm a certified black belt. Definitely don't look like it now. But that certainly has helped shape my like thinking on everything, just my discipline, my habits, and everything like that.
Yeah. Definitely heard and understood. I have a number of friends who have grown up in, I don't know how to say this without coming off like a dick, so I'm not going to say it, but I grew up in a place called, next to a place called Irvine, which has a very heavy Asian population. So all of my friends growing up were Asian. So the Asian household effect has always been a thing that I've been very aware of. Where it can be like a crushing pressure
Hmm,
to a certain
for sure.
degree. Is that something you felt growing up?
Yeah, definitely. Because like it's more of the at least from my perspective, it's like they've spent so much time like, developing me as a child, like helping me out and everything. So I don't want to necessarily disappoint them or make them feel like I was a waste of time.
Jeez. Yeah, that's brutal, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you're a waste of time, Jason. And
Yeah.
uh, I'm glad that you've taken that pressure and solidified it to a diamond rather than crumble, for what it's worth. Because I know that that can go a number of ways. Unfortunately, I've seen a couple of my friends who basically, after they left home, they fucked off and never talked to their parents again.
Mm.
Probably shouldn't. I might cut that whole segment. We'll see. Um, anyway,
You get one F-bomb. It's okay.
yeah, I feel like that's a good one. Uh, so you're currently number two on the leaderboard, Jason. It's not really a joke anymore to say that our locals are essentially funding your personal card collection. It's just the donation to the Jason Doan cardboard fund. Despite your overwhelming success, though, it seems like you have struggled when it comes to like the larger stage, like the mid-season
hmm
invitationals or in the invitationals. You recently published a essay or a post on Adnaz that you're really talking about how your performance of the mid-season invitational affected you. Would you mind kind of talking to that? Because it seemed like you took that really hard.
Yeah, so this was my second invitational I went to, and the first one I was like, ah, dang, I bombed out, and I had the ability to win, I think, my last two games. Just unfortunate circumstances came up. So in this one, when I also had a win it in round five, and I moved to one, I felt immense like pressure, right? Because I'm like, ah, I made it this far, but just not over the hump again. And something that like I felt personally was like, I let down my Legion the first time, right? And now the second time I'm doing it again. Obviously, like I've made friends here in the community on our local scene in our region, right? And like I want other people to do well as well when they travel. And I also want to like make them feel proud when I'm traveling.
Fair. And like that's thank you. Like to be honest, you are kind of like the poster boy of Colorado CDH, believe it or not. This might cut a little hard, so I apologize in advance, but there is the lying scandal that happened at the midseason invitational. And
Rumble, rumble.
that was Rumble? Okay.
Yep.
Do you want to talk a bit to that about what happened
Yeah.
and how that's kind of affected your game since then?
So, I cast a meme bet with the intention, and I vocalized this, to go cast a demonic tutor to go find a Rhystic study. But once the meme bet resolved, I knew for a fact that if I played it the way I did, I would be able to figure out a one line using Final Fortune, Demonic Tutor, and Vampiric Tutor, that were available in the graveyards. And I think, especially in that moment, I knew it wasn't fair to my opponents because I was basically robbing them of like the experience of like playing the game, right? Like uh Like I don't play this game to make money. Like no, I don't think anyone is. So just like robbing my opponents didn't feel fair because in the past I've also been robbed of the same experience. So after that, I felt immense remorse, felt horrible about it that weekend, and you can see it reflected within my performance at Rumble too. I didn't do exceptionally well at that event.
One thing that I really do appreciate, Jason, is that you did not hide behind this. You came out pretty much immediately, you addressed the issue very publicly, and you apologized. And I think that that shows maturity on an adult level. And thank you for taking a moment to speak to that. I know that that's not easy. It's never easy to
Yeah.
admit our mistakes in public. And that is a very adult thing to do. And it's something that I know that I strive to do personally, especially in my uh, professional life, because I know that when you try to hide something, that's when it becomes an issue. So thank you for speaking to that. It is
Yeah,
appreciated.
it's been a wild and honestly like rough ride since then, but I'm doing my best to like make peace for myself because honestly like that's who I have to like live with is myself all day, right?
Yeah.
So,
I personally believe that there's roads to redemption, and you're choosing, at least from my perspective, from what I've seen and I've heard, to try to remedy this and like lean into being an honest player and not make this a repeat thing. Whereas other players, and I'm not going to name names here, it's not my place. After they are in that situation, they just say, you know, whatever. I got my top 16. I got my top four. I'm just going to lean into this now. Austin, I've been bulldozing you. Is there anything you'd like to ask? I do this to Titus all the time, by the way. Sometimes you just have to push me over.
Now I'm kind of here for the ride. I am just enjoying like the banter, and I don't know Jason nearly as well as you do because I mean I've only been up here for a few years, and I think Jason and I have played maybe like a handful of games together.
hmm.
Um, because all the games that I remember playing against you is either Kennen or something on Esper like Tivit.
Oh, sure.
That's Senior Tivit to you. Uh, it's got the mustache.
Yes. Yes, yes. Oh my God. That's actually my friend's Tivit deck. Um, and they keep lending me cards whenever I need certain things. But it's that was actually such a wild ride to play Tivit during that era during Dockside when it was
Hmm.
extremely prevalent. Um, I think my win rate on Tivit is like a 90% over like 20 games,
Hmm.
Oh, that's
which is
wild.
super weird, right? Because it's like you wouldn't think that Tivit would be a deck that would be able to win, but basically my whole like strategy would be to like figure out a way to stop my opponents from winning, whether it's putting into play like Blind Obedience, a Dauntless Dismantler, maybe a Curse Totem or a Graph Cage, and then when they do put a Dockside into play, all their treasures enter tapped, and then I cast my own Dockside, Phyrexian Metamorph, Flesh Duplicate, Phantasmal Image, Imposter Mech even, and then I would just flicker it with Displacer Kitten, and then
Hmm.
turns out that would be extremely good combo.
Who would have
Hey,
thought?
I don't miss Dockside. Like, I just don't. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I don't either, and I think it's exposed certain people that they don't really have a real like sense of how the game goes when
I
you
miss
eliminate like the
Nadu.
easiest thing.
Well, you're disgusting.
Yeah, bring back everything but Dockside. Um, that's safe, right? Okay. So it's been a little over a year since you joined Critical EDH. That happened pretty much immediately after Snowy Summit 2, right?
Yep, Snowy was when well, Eric, Logan, and I were like, oh, we should like make something together. And after Snowy, it was like a definitive, yeah, we're all like something here.
Okay. You guys, I don't know if there is another cEDH channel that has just exploded in the way that you guys have. And it's not close. Like I think that it's probably in part because of the league, because it's
Hmm.
probably the best place to get reps on cEDH from home. how's it been for you personally to basically go from like a regional end boss to somebody who's known around the country? Like
Just
you're internet famous, bro.
it's something that's like kind of hard to wrap my head around. But I honestly like my experience from going like, oh, I'm just my own entity to like, oh, I have friends who like, you know, watch out for me and stuff like that. I think it's been a very nice experience. It's like a warm blanket almost for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, actually, that kind of leads me into my next question. You're a bit younger than, well, let's be honest. I've heard you call Logan dad more than once. Um, what's it been like for you to have your colleagues being so much older than you? Is it good to have those role model type figures?
I think it is very helpful for me, like because sometimes we even like I'll talk about like career stuff with some of them as well, and they've been helping me out. But it's been interesting to see like almost like a new path open up, whereas I wouldn't have seen it before, especially just like not even magically related, just like seeing seeing certain things that like I wouldn't personally do, or even seeing certain things that I personally think would be of benefit if I like created a habit out of it. I think that's interesting. It's also very nice that I can ask advice because they definitely lived more life than I have.
Yeah. Hear that, Zoomers? Stop being mean to us unks. Like, we have
Oh,
life
that
advice.
doesn't stop me from telling Austin he's a day from retirement.
Well, wait. I think I'm older than Austin. Chill, bro.
Ooh, ooh.
Get in the box, Grandpa.
Listen here, you whippersnappers. Okay, fair enough. So I heard on this morning's critical EDH's keeping tabs that you went through the group chat and asked them what they had on their cEDH goals list for this year. I
Mhm.
couldn't help but notice that that happened after I sent you your show notes. What's on your list of goals for this year?
So I don't really have like any real or defined goals that are necessarily like, oh, I'm gonna learn how to play Italian, I'm gonna learn how to play XYZ, right? They're more of like milestones I want to hit. So like I wanna win a diamond event. I wanna make top cut at the mid season or made top four at like an invitational style event. I think those are like my main goals for right now.
Okay. I mean, maybe you should learn how to play Derevi, and then you can teach me how to play Derevi.
Do you
Uh,
foresee you continuing to play like Kennen and well, Kennen for the foreseeable future until some weird comes along?
I actually might play a little bit of Rog Side this weekend.
okay.
So I'm
Uh,
disowning you. Heard.
so that actually, Austin's a pure Fringe player. I'm a little bit mixed, and Jason, you pretty much take good decks to tournaments because you win. Um, there might be some correlation here. I'm not sure if I can draw those line points between those points, but if you were to give advice to a player who refuses to play the top decks in the format because they have their decks that they feel are special to them, what would it be?
Say that again.
Okay, so if I was, say, a Tameshi player who just would refuse to learn how to play Kinnan or Farm because I don't want to play the best decks, I want to play the decks that I think are cool. What would you say to me if I was still trying to have success in the format?
So my immediate
Sorry, Austin.
advice to you is that it it really comes back to what you're trying to do in the format, right? Are you trying to win as much at the cost of like your own like, oh, I think this is cool, right? Or are you trying to win with something because you're trying to prove a point, right? And I reference this video all the time, this Joe King 101 video, how to win a tournament. I recommend everyone watches this at least once. But he makes the point that if you're there are many like ideas you can take to a cEDH event, but like what are you trying to do at this event? Are you trying to win at all costs? Are you trying to prove a point? Like are you trying to top 16 with your fringe event, right? Or your fringe deck? And these circles overlap with each other at certain points. So if you're trying to win at all costs, you might not be in these camp of like trying to win with your fringe deck because like objectively speaking, right, there are best decks in the format. There are decks that are easier to win on than other decks, right? Certainly Tameshi is one of them versus like let's say if we're playing like Eye or Blue Farm, right?
Hmm.
It's much easier to win on those decks than it is for Tameshi. And it really comes down to what point you're trying to make. And if like if all you want to do is like play Fringe, then that like you have to accept that your maximum win rate won't be achieved because you're not maximizing yourself in that regard. But if you're okay with that, then like there's no problem with you playing Tameshi really. Um, Another point I want to make is that it is it's quite important, I think, that you at least branch out a little to play the top decks because you can take that experience back to playing Tameshi and you're like, oh, I can see the choke point right now of this Blue Farm player because I played Blue Farm before. I know their choke point is mana. Or like for other decks, like let's say Rogthras, right? They're important at the face level of it, the deck is like a lot of random creatures and a lot of tokens, a lot of ETBs and stuff. But once you play the deck a couple times, you get to understand, oh, at this point, like I normally wouldn't be able to see that they can Chord of Calling for an Aboro Breeze Caller, but this chord for 2 is definitely lethal if I let it resolve, sort of stuff. So it just brings more experience back to your fringe deck if you play
Hmm.
meta stuff as well.
It's just the,
That's
the knowledge of having the broad knowledge of everything versus being a jack of all trades versus and a master of none versus you are very specific in what you know, which is not bad in of itself, but still, if you don't know how Kennen wins, you're going to be SOL if you're trying to stop it.
So I think a better way to put this is that we're playing cEDH, right? So we have 4 players at the table.
Hmm.
You can focus on yourself and you can figure out all your win lines from turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, but you still have 3 other turns you have to worry about. And if you die on
Hmm.
one of them because you didn't know that was how that works, then you don't get a turn to execute your combo.
yeah. I think that's a really good piece of advice, Jason.
Hmm.
Um, something it's something that I am trying to do personally because I have always been that player and it's been limiting for me and I recognize it. So I'm trying to get my 20 games in on the meta decks. I did my 20 games in on Kinnan and my win rate was double that on my main deck. Shockingly, I haven't touched it since I finished those 20 games. I'll probably do 20 games on farm, but my next deck that I'm gonna try to do my 20 games is Eye. It's I know it should be 50, but I don't play enough Magic and I want to enjoy my time playing my real decks too. But I think that Vial of Thras is a real deck, and I've been enjoying the hell out of that. So
Yes, yes. I'm actually of the opinion that it's a top 4 deck in the format. It's just not played enough.
I don't know why it feels so clean. But that's neither here nor there. So Jason, I know you've been offering coaching services lately. I'm guessing that you don't have any training in formal teaching or anything like that. How has this experience been working out for you? Like, have you been investing any time in learning this stuff for yourself? Or are you just finding that this is like a naturally easy thing for you to do?
So it's definitely been somewhat rough, especially in the beginning. But I really want to thank Eric Beagle, my teammate, for helping me just like talking to him. He's he's been able to basically um like almost reiterate or make it feel more natural to talk. And you'll notice this in our earlier podcast too. like request that I have Eric on the pod because he prompts people, he makes it so much easier to talk. He's very enjoyable to spend time with, and I think that's grown a lot on me, and it's made me realize, right? It's a lot easier to coach if you know what questions to ask, and then like from that, I can use my wealth of experience and knowledge to help out.
Yeah, Eric for sure has the gift of gab. And I don't know if everybody caught up on that when I said that you are succeeding in this. And I said that very specifically because if you have not taken the opportunity yet, Jason put out one of the best resources on how to resolve Necro. And if you haven't watched that video yet, just like Jason said, you should be watching how to win a tournament. You should watch Jason's How to Win with Necro video because it is a fantastic resource that is available on YouTube for free. And it is a great example of what you can learn from a good coach.
You know, the funniest story. So the lead up to that was actually Logan invited me over for Thanksgiving, and 10 minutes in, he's like, "Okay, you're recording a video right now. I don't care what video you're recording. You have to record it now. There's no script for it. You're gonna do it on the fly." And that video was completely on the fly, no script, just out of my brain.
Dude, and that's awesome. One of the things that, not to glaze you too hard, but one of the things that really stood out to me was the intentionality of the dual lands that you will be fetching if you're going for a necro line. It's not something I had been looking for in cEDH, but it's something I look for in 60 card. And knowing that if I see somebody get their underground sea and then a volcanic island, that I should have alarm bells firing.
Badlands Volk Island.
Badlands Volk Island, thank you. It's it's good to know what you are playing against, and that is just a additional little micro efficiency that I thought was fantastic.
With being like the poster child of the Denver region, being a pro player, going to like the invitationals and stuff, this might be a very hard question for you to answer. What is probably one of your proudest moments, Magic related, that you have?
Oh, actually, this is actually on the easier side. Because I always remember this like 3 month experience for me. So the Snowy Summit 2, after my first game with Evan Pierce, we spent 72 minutes in overtime. Sorry, Sylvan. Um, and funny story, Eric fell asleep and woke up and the round wasn't over. But after that match, someone came up to me and was like, congrats, buddy. Like you held your own in the stack. Like ultimately Evan took over and won the game, but you were so close. In like almost like I don't want to say like a demeaning way, but it felt very like talked down to. Um, and in that moment I was like, ah, dang, if I didn't misplay, right? Because I mulled the two in this game as well,
Mhm.
and I kept Ancient Tomb Mystic Study. And had I not misplayed my mid game, I definitely win this game easily. So I'm just like, damn, I know I can be one of the best. Like like Evan is one of the best, and I just like I felt like I almost like I played to his level, if not higher than his level. So that was like my breaking point was like, oh, I know I can be one of the best. And then to go past that in that 3 month exchange was when I won SCG Con Denver, and I won the finals against Evan Pierce on turn three with the Necropotence on my turn two. So that felt amazing. And then the week after that, we traveled to Heisenberg and I top four that event too. So within that 3 month span is probably like my something I'm proud of for sure.
That's awesome. That
That
had to feel
72-minute
amazing.
game was wild. I was also judging that tournament, and it was freaking wild to look at. Just all the cards splayed across the table for the stack.
Oh yeah. Still one of my favorite games to date.
Well, that's freaking awesome. We had a story on the podcast where you were referenced at one point, and I don't remember the story, so I apologize. But there was one specific thing that did stick out to one of our viewers, and that was that you mulled to one card on Kinnan and somehow won that game. They asked, "What the heck do you mull down to one card and keep?"
Oh, no, 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 no. I think this was a different game where I kept Land Ragavan on farm.
Oh,
Um, and I won this game in seat 3 or 4. And the entire time I got my Ragavan hits were all bad, but I assembled like Ragavan, Timna. I landed a turn 4 voice that stuck around for like two turn cycles. Eventually the Ragavan hit a Wish Claw and I won under a Collector Oof because I was able to find a Swords to Plowshare off Mystical Tutor, trigger Timna, draw it, swords the Collector Oof, so I have access to all of my Ragavan mana, Wish Claw for a Demonic Tutor, and then Demonic Tutor for Breach on like turn 5 or 6.
that's
Um,
awesome.
Heck yeah.
Okay, well, Jason, I'm just going to say this to your team through you. The gratitude that we all feel towards Crit is endless. You guys have been so supportive of our channel just in general, but specifically the stock up. Logan donated some cards that raised an additional $200 for the charity. The amount of promotion that you guys have given it and our channel in general has been unbelievably gracious. The fact that you and Jordan have agreed to come and talk to us has been just so kind. So thanks for coming and hanging out with us, bud. It's
no,
appreciated.
thank you. This was a exciting opportunity for sure.
Well, before we go, is there anything you'd like to shout out or give a little bit of a spotlight to?
Well, shout out to all my teammates. Sometimes I hate you guys, but definitely love you guys more than I hate you guys. Shout out to Austin. Shout out to Jax. Shout out to Logan. Shout out to Eric. Who am I missing here? Shout out to Jordan too. Love you guys all.
When he says that he hates as much as they love him, people don't understand what it's like being in the room with two of them when they're in a game together. They will freaking scream at each other and like be slamming the table and fighting. They hate losing to each other more than I think anybody else likes winning. It is
Oh, trust me.
hilarious.
Roel's inside joke is that they feel closer to me as like than me and Logan feel to each other in game.
I absolutely believe that. Okay. Well, if you've stayed with us this far, please consider giving this episode a like, follow, and subscribe, and comment depending on how you found us. Check out our Discord and socials in the link below. If you're interested in one of our playmats featuring this logo by Fox Tattoos, let us know. We have a couple in stock currently. Be kind to each other, be kind to yourselves. It's just a game.